Hey, this is my kind of show. I'm chatting draft with people in the chat before the show even starts. I like being remote. I got my keyboard right here. I can just pop in the chat, no problem. I can go full Clarence. Welcome into the DLLS Cowboys podcast, everybody. Please smash the like button on your way in. We sure would appreciate it. We got a full show for you today. We will be talking draft at 11:30 with Fran Duffy, all things Cowboys, all things NFL draft. We're getting ready for the combine coming up soon, too, and we will be there. So make sure that you are following along. We got a lot of things to do here today. Let's get right to it. My name is Jeff. Next to former Cowboy wide receiver Jesse Holley.
Oh, Jesse Holley went 77 yards. It must be a reality show.
And he is next to the greatest beat writer in the history of the Dallas Cowboys, Mr. Clarence Hill. First thing I want to talk about today, gentlemen, is as we are getting ready to go through an offseason, as free agency is on the horizon. George Pickens is about to be franchise tagged. When it comes to building this team, I'm going to throw 4 different names at you. And I want to know, are the Dallas Cowboys going to consider this guy a no-doubt starter when it comes to building the roster? Player number 1, Jesse Holley. Is Tyler Guyton considered their left tackle, and they're going to build their roster accordingly?
Yes.
I like your conviction.
Yes. 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 They are going to start out early in this Cowboys offseason campaign as Tyler Guyton, their left tackle. Yes.
Because the Tyler Smith stuff got to make you think that they're not totally convinced on it. But I also think, I guess at the end of the day, I think between them and between Tyler Smith, I think they will settle on. I think we'll leave our all-pro alone. Clarence Hill, Tyler Guyton, are they going to build this team as if Tyler Guyton is absolutely the starting left tackle? Well, you guys got conviction today. I got good questions, I guess. I'm crushing it. Look, where my Dolces go?
The problem is, yes. Is that the right thing to do? You know, we'll see. But I think as of right now, yes. You know, Tyler Guyton does not want to. Tyler Smith does not want to play left tackle. If Tyler Smith will be open to it, I think that it'd be the other way around. But I don't think Tyler Smith is open to it, and I think they're going to go with Tyler Guyton at left tackle for sure.
If it's always wonky because the offseason goes a certain way and free agency is before the draft. But if Tyler Smith were open to it and they had a level of confidence that he could be a Pro Bowl type left tackle, do you think then they would be open to using one of their first round picks on a guard? Or is that overkill on the offensive line and there's too much to do on defense?
I'm not doing it. I'm
not asking you to say they're not using the first round. They're not picking.
I'm not doing it. You're not. It's a trap, Jess. It's a trap. It's a trap.
Number? Is it the same number too? Was it 12?
It's a trap. I'm not getting trapped.
Could Vega Ione be the pick at 12?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think maybe at 20, if we get to a place at 20 and you're looking at the board and you're saying however the draft may fall, if you're looking at 20 and you're saying it's a wide receiver or it's a guard that's at 20 and you're looking to have to pick and you don't have any trade back options there that's worth you trading back for, then maybe that can be a scenario. I think when you look at just how the draft may fall to you this year, having that 20th pick, there may be a run at a certain position that leaves you in a place where you're looking around and you're saying, well, there isn't a linebacker worth taking at 20. There isn't an edge rusher that we see right now worth taking at 20. Depending on what we took in the first with the first pick, you can get to that situation where you're stuck with, do we do running back or do we do a wide receiver or do we do a guard? Or we reach for some other position that we may not necessarily need. And if that's the case, then I guess you may load up on there and then, try your hand at Tyler Guyton at first, starting out at tackle, but having a very short leash with him saying, if we feel like this isn't working, let's get this young player in here at guard. Let's slide Tyler Smith out to the left tackle, and let's just see what we got from there.
I like my people in the chat. We got one trying to take Jordan Tyson there at 12, Arizona State wide receiver. We got one guy trying to take Jeremiah Love, trying to take me a running back at number 12, which
They
is
have options. They have options at guard on the roster. Options that will serviceable options. You don't see why do we have to have 4 first-round picks up front? Why do we have to have 4 first-round picks up front to freaking run an offense? No one else has that. Only in Dallas do we need 4 first-round picks up front.
Let me just see if my buttons will play audio on the show, because I think that's a question of, is it the hot dog or is it the bun?
Now this is a hot dog bun. I think it's a hot dog too.
I don't think it's about where you picked them. Like if like it's about what you got and what you don't got to me. Like if you had done a better job, if you had pulled a really good guard out of the 3rd or 4th round, then so be it. It just so happens that they haven't. And so, like, to me, I'm just trying to build my football team. If the best player available can fill a need of mine and make me better, I don't care how many first-round picks are where. I just don't.
But is there something to building a football team by using resources on defense? You've used so many resources on offense, and we don't have a lot of resources on defense, financial resources. I mean, at some point, we got to stop loading up on offense and put some of those players, that money and investment on defense, which is needs. That's the house that's on fire right now. That's the one that's on fire.
Yeah. I got you. You're right. Demi Dog Productions in the chat wants to know why we're never in studio anymore. The answer is because we're trying to keep everyone alive. We are still a studio show, but when people get a certain type of sickness, you got to stay in the bunker, baby. So we'll be back.
Who caused the sickness? Let's just go and put it out there. Who caused? No, the other way, Jesse, other way. Who caused the sickness? Who caused that man to get sick?
Well, how is it my fault just because I go to dirty dive bars? Obviously, I built up a tolerance to them, and somebody else has not. It's not my fault.
It's Jeff's fault. Jeff went and took people to dirty dive bars on a nightly basis, and immune systems just aren't built for that. And so what ends up happening is you lay down with dogs, you get up with fleas, and we J-Rod's all on Jeff.
I'll take it. J-Rod's in the super chat. Is this the year Dallas drafts a quarterback? I see you, Jesse. Team Jesus.
The only team I really play for, baby. The only team I play for, baby. Let's go.
If you told me that the right mid-round quarterback was there to see, but now they already traded for a guy. Like Joe Milton's here. I don't think they need to even touch it.
Why are we doing this?
And not that Joe Milton can play, but he's very nice and he has great hair. So I'm cheering for him. So he can just hang out. He can hang out and keep doing it. Second guy, as the Cowboys go through this offseason, will he be considered a no-doubt starter as they build their team? Shavon Revel.
Yes. They have no choice. They have no choice in giving Shavon Revel the opportunity again. Now coming back in this season, hopefully having an entire healthy offseason, getting a little bit of run last year. And I believe that we said that on this show that I know I said it. Just when it came to Revel and it came to DeMario and Overshown, I had zero expectation for them getting on the field and what they were able to do last year. I thought coming back from that level of injury that you don't really get the chance to judge a kid like that until the following year. They put him back out there in desperate times, called for desperate measures. So he went out there and he played. Didn't fare well in his time out there. I hope that his confidence wasn't crushed in that process. Hopefully now bringing in this new defensive coordinator, Christian Parker, and all the people that he'll bringing in, that they're able to revamp Shavon Revel mentally, physically, emotionally, and that he's able to go back out there because this is a guy they're counting on. Shavon Revel. He's one of those guys that when they drafted him, he wasn't drafted as a depth piece. He was drafted as a guy that they were looking for to be a part of their future. And so he has to go. With Trayvon Diggs being gone, with what's the other quarterback name with the foot? I just drew a blank.
Bland.
Deron Bland with the foot. You gotta go. I don't know. A seatbelt. I don't know. I don't know about that seatbelt. I don't know about a seatbelt is even worthy of that. nickname, but yes, Shavon Revel is definitely a guy that they're projecting to be a starter day one. When this thing gets back on the field, Shavon Revel will be in that starting position.
Chill.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with Jesse. You know, he has to be, and you said it yourself, Jeff. You know, when you take the injury away, where did you have Savon Revel rated in the draft? I
Second
mean,
round.
yeah, and there's some people that had him as a first round pick.
Right. A lot of
And
people. Yeah.
yeah, here's a guy who has that type of talent, has that type of potential, and we're talking about a healthy Savon Revel. He's 1 year removed, 2 years removed from the ACL. A healthy Savon Revel is like another first round pick coming in this draft, or a high second round pick coming in the draft because you don't have a second round pick. Those are starters. Those type of players are starters. The only reason he was in the third round was because he had an injury. You know, but this is a starter type guy, and you need him. They are counting on him to be a starter, a bona fide starter, no doubt starter. Should be a question about his being able to start if he's healthy. And I understand that. I don't know if he was still healthy, if he was all the way healthy, even at the end of the season last year.
Now we do have, and I want you to know that this is not DLLS approved, but we do have new names for Kalen Carson showing up in the chat. MD Rowe said he's car seat Carson till he proves he can cover grown-ups. And Jay Phil said more like sour belt. And we do not approve any of this. Ozzy D, all this yapping and no foot racing. Shaking my head. Can we commit to a combine foot race? We owe a foot race. We owe a foot race. Clarence, you can fake an injury if you want to right off.
Jeff, you are injured. You don't even have to fake.
Yeah, but there's nothing I can do that's too bad. They're replacing the whole team on March 11th. So
you're injured.
It doesn't matter.
There's no place to run. They don't just let you run on the field.
Well, we'll run wherever. There's a lot of
what's the weather like? We're gonna run in the snow.
No, in Indy, when you're working your way, because Indy knows that it's cold, they're aware that it's real cold. So there's ways you can work your way through the city, through like hotel and convention center hallways, and we can find a spot. I saw Miles Jack was practicing his get-offs in one of those hallways a few years ago.
I was going to say the same thing. The players work out in those convention center hallways as they get ready for their workouts. They do that. They run there.
Next player. And I don't think I told you guys I was going to go with this one because I just thought of it right before the show. Will the Cowboys consider this guy a no-doubt starter as they build their team this offseason? Mailk Hooker. If you wanted to, he doesn't have guaranteed money or very little. You could save like $8 or $10 million if you didn't have him, but you also have nothing else. Are they considering him a starter?
Wilson's a free agent, right?
Donovan's a free agent. That's why I didn't use him. He's a free agent. In theory, he's gone unless he comes back on the cheap. But Mailk Hooker has one more year left on his deal. You could release him if you wanted to. Then you would have Wanye and Marquise Bell would be your safeties.
Yes. Mailk Hooker is a starter. Yes.
I think you take him to training camp and you see.
I just don't think, like, with the amount of things that we know that they need to do, can replace Mailk Hooker be a priority on their roster when you need a starting corner, maybe two, you need a starting linebacker, you need a starting edge, maybe two.
If Caleb Downs is at 12, you definitely take Caleb Downs at 12. And I think he's good enough to kind of erase a lot of that back half coverage where guys were kind of, he could fill in playing some nickel. He could fill in the gap in the run game. I think Caleb Downs and Mailk Hooker can work for you for the 2026 season.
I agree with that. I think you run out of, even those of us who are the most optimistic about what the Cowboys will do in free agency. I still don't think they're going to go out and sign 2 starting caliber safeties, 2 starting caliber corners, a starting linebacker, a starting running back. Like, I don't think they're really going to go spend on a starting edge. Like, I just got to 7 guys starter caliber, and I just don't think they're going to do all.
Well, let's be realistic about corner. Do you need 2 starting caliber? I mean, we talk about it. If Revel is who we think he is, and we both say Revel's a starter, and Bland is healthy, and they're going to piss him as a starter. Do you need 2 starting corners?
Yeah, I guess the most likely way they handle it is not a free agent that's a starter caliber corner, but likely one of their 2 first-round picks will be one.
Yes.
And then you'll have Revel and Bland, and you'll have Carson as depth if somebody's hurt or can't play, and you'll figure it out from there. I guess that'll be the way. Sully, didn't Parker coach the safety Simmons that sat all last year? Could that be the replacement? In theory, if you wanted to give that a try. And yes, he did coach him. So yeah, you could draw a Justin Simmons connection there. Coming up next on the DLLS Cowboys podcast, the teams that missed the playoffs that are most likely to bounce back. Where do the Cowboys rank in that group? We'll do it next. Let's take a moment and shout out our friends at Branded Bills, the finest ball caps on the planet. You can see I got the DLLS Branded Bills cap on. You can get that in our merch store. Might want to check that out. I love my Branded Bills, whether you're looking for a snapback, a trucker, a fitted, a beanie, maybe even t-shirt. Branded Bills, they got you covered with performance and style. They absolutely are the best. I love every Branded Bills hat that I have. I got about 5 different t-shirts. And one of the best things is they got incredibly cool hats when it comes to your college. They have a partnership with 40 different colleges as part of their campus collection. TCU, Texas Tech, Texas, the Oklahoma State one's fire. So whatever your school is, check them out on brandedbills.com. See if they've got you covered because they've got incredibly cool stuff. You'll love to rock that at the game, or at the bar, or at the house while you're watching. Branded Bills, they got you squared away with all your ball cap needs. They can also do custom stuff. Head on over to brandedbills.com and you use the code BBDLLS and you will get 15% off your first order. Also, salute to our friends at Prize Picks, my favorite app on my phone. I love my Prize Picks. Football season's over, which makes me sad, but the good news is Prize Picks has you covered on every sport. All you have to do is say that you think a player is going to have more or less than a projected stat in a game, and you can fiddle fart around with it. You can bring that thing down a little bit. You can send that thing up a little bit. It just, that is reflected in the return there. And that's all you do. You make the picks, you get those picks right, and you win the money. So download that Prize Picks app today and make all sports more interesting. You don't care about a random hockey game? I got a way you can care. Pop on Prize Picks and say somebody's going to have more than their listed shots on goal, more than the saves, more than the points. Have yourself a good time, like I do, on the Prize Picks app. Download that app, get the code DLLS in there. You'll get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code DLLS. Get you $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Solid Duck in the chat taking some shots. He said, until Chill gets a new setup, I'm calling him clearance. That's not. You don't do good people like that. You just don't. In The Athletic, they wrote an article. Let me make sure I get the author right. Mike Jones.
Who?
Mike Jones.
Who?
281-330-8004. Wrote an article, and it was ranking the 18 teams that missed the playoffs last year and who is the most likely to rebound. Now, without knowing the order, if you don't know the order, do you think the Cowboys should rank high on this, mid on this, or low on this amongst teams that missed the postseason and are likely to bounce back? High is good, low is bad.
Mid.
Mid.
Cowboys are always middy. They're always middy unless they're playing defense, then they're absolutely in the end. But normally they're usually middy.
J. Phil says mid. Famous CB says low. So the answer is going to be fair to middling. The Baltimore Ravens are number 1, and that makes sense because Lamar Jackson was hurt and now he's not. The Detroit Lions are second because they're the Detroit Lions and they're expected to be good. The Bengals are third because Joe Burrow was hurt and he'll be back.
Okay, before we just breeze through this thing, have we come to a place now where I get it that I think Joe Burrow is a fantastic quarterback, right? I think he has all the skills, all the tools.
He's a hurt guy.
But are we so like, all right, we get it. You went to the Super Bowl 4 seasons ago.
And if you wanted to really go look at that playoff run, the defense carried them.
Right, because, I mean, no quarterback had gotten sacked more times in the playoffs, maybe Drake May this year, than Joe Burrow had at that particular time in that run. But we're so far removed from that run. Are we still holding on to this Joe Burrow can take the Bengals to the promised land type situation? I'm a little bit past that now. I like Joe Burrow. Think Joe Burrow's a fantastic individual player. But I don't know if the Bengals as a whole, we keep putting them in this conversation of because they have Joe Burrow, and I get it, quarterback is king, but I'm like, I'm past the Bengals being a Super Bowl contending team just because Joe Burrow is there.
I think that the Bengals, and people may not want to hear this, I think the Bengals and the Cowboys are kind of the Spider-Man meme where they're pointing at each other because they're the same guy. Family owned, run on a budget. Players think they might be kind of cheap, and both of them have really good quarterback play and not a good enough team right now. And the defenses are horrendous. Like, they're kind of the same team. Yeah, I'm with you. Like, I think Joe Burrow's top 5 quarterback when he's healthy. I think that's right. But no, I don't think that his existence is going to take them to a Super Bowl. Last year, they had the same defense you had almost. They were atrocious. That team's not good enough. They're going to need their owner to write checks, much like the Cowboys need their owner to write checks, or we ain't going nowhere. Clarence?
I mean, I'm here. I mean, you got Trey Hendrickson. I mean, what do you? I mean, the Bengals are the Cowboys. Everything we're saying is correct.
We got Quinnen Williams.
Yeah. I mean, the Bengals are the Cowboys. I mean, everything that they're doing, and have done. They have a great offense, no defense. They got 2 great receivers. Yes, and we need to stop it. We need to stop just putting the Bengals as this contender. And Joe is a guy who can take them to the Super Bowl because he did it one time years ago, and they've done nothing since.
Okay, so as you go through the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they say are the 4th most likely to bounce back, and they play in a terrible division, and they should win that division every year. And the fact that they didn't is kind of embarrassing. Number 5 is the Kansas City Chiefs, not number 1, number 5, because I mean they've really struggled even when Pat Mahomes is playing over the last. I mean, they were in the Super Bowl last year, but they weren't the same as they had been up until that point. And now people are looking at that roster going, really? Atlanta Falcons are 6. Washington Commanders are 7. Minnesota Vikings are 8. Dallas Cowboys are 9, followed by the New Orleans Saints. Being between the Vikings, who don't have a quarterback, and the Saints, who a lot of people thought would have the number 1 pick, and their quarterback is Tyler Shuck. I don't like this at all. And it does, like, to me, this all brings us back to the same thing. And almost every topic this offseason is going to bring us back to the same thing, which is you've been on a 3 to 4 year run where you do not have good young talent. You've missed on premium picks, and you've been free agency averse while losing lots of good players in free agency. And you're at such a deficit that when it comes to the zoomed out view of the national media, that's where you're viewed. Not with, oh, Kansas City will make the playoffs next year. And they weren't even way up there, but, oh, Lamar's back. They'll make the playoffs next year. You're viewed as one of the bad teams. And it always comes back to the same thing for me, which is if you aren't way different this offseason, get ready for more of the same.
And I also think when you look at just the overall growth of the division, the overall growth of the league, and the Cowboys, they always find themselves in the position of, yes, they'll have a good offense, but that offense will falter every now and again against a poorly constructed team. They'll lose 1 or 2 games they probably shouldn't lose. They'll win 1 or 2 games they probably shouldn't win. And then it's like it's a toss-up. It's a 6-7 toss-up that how they'll finish out how they'll finish out the year. And if they get into the playoffs, unlike Joe Burrow when he got to the playoffs all those years ago, that they actually made a run. I think the Cowboys have just not made a run deep enough in the playoffs that make people believe that they could get there again. And that if they got there again, that it would be a successful run, because we have a 30-year history of the Cowboys not doing anything in the playoffs, right? And in the last, 10, 15 years have 2 playoff wins or something like that. So I think that's what, when you start calculating all of that, and then there's always the bias that goes against the Cowboys, right? People don't always want to give the Cowboys credit for anything. They take away credit from the Cowboys for some things. So they fall back into those lesser tier area teams like the Saints and like what was the team before them?
Vikings.
The Vikings, right? Because no one believes in the Vikings or Saints. And I'm sure you don't put the Cowboys in that conversation with those 2 teams, but people look at them and go, well, they went to the playoffs a couple of years ago and they had wins and they did this and they did that. And so it's always this back and forth conversation with the Cowboys and teams across the league.
I'm just upset that Jeremy Witt gonna talk about my nose at Irvin's White House. I mean, I'm just saying he been talking about my nose, Jesse.
No, we are trying to stay on a topic. You worried about what they're talking about.
I'm reading the chat. I mean, it's why y'all doing me like this?
We were dialed in today, Clarence. We were having a real professional topic crushing.
I know. We started the show, just went straight into the show.
Yeah.
We didn't do no fiddle farting and nothing around, nothing, no personal stuff. But it's Dro and Jeremy. They just come after me so much. It just gets me, Dro been killing me. I got a Negro League painting behind me. Gonna talk about that's my team picture from the Negro, back in the PPI. I mean, it's crazy. They're killing me.
If we're swerving across 8 lanes to do just random stuff, I'm gonna tell you guys about something I tweeted the other day. You guys ever get something? I had some food delivered, so I had my hands full when I picked up my food off the porch, and I closed my front door with my foot on my way back in. And you're not kicking the door; it's kind of a push kick combo. And when you do that, a lot of times you'll come up short, and you'll have to go nudge it a little more. And a lot of times you hit it too hard, and you go, "Oh God!" But the fact that I got it just right, it's one of the best feelings in the world. Closing a door with a foot, or like a hip nudge on the fridge, and then you walk off knowing you got it, and you hear the little seal. Those are just random things that I realize bring me great joy. And that's my non-Cowboys content of the day.
That sounds your version of athleticism. You sound like that's your version of athleticism. You sound like that boxer. We was telling Tom Brady about his, I was an all-state linebacker in high school.
Oh, that was one of the Paul YouTube guys. Yeah, that was one of those. Well, and now I'm lost, Clarence. I forgot what I was even talking about because you have derailed me. But yeah, the Cowboys by the national folks are now viewed as a bad team.
I think they're too low. I think come on, man. They're better than the Buccaneers. I mean, the idea that you got them right in front of the Saints, come on, man. The Vikings are in front of the Cowboys. Why would the Vikings be in front of the Cowboys with J.J. McCarthy at quarterback?
Because people think that the Cowboys team is really bad. And the tough part is, you have more high-end talent than most of these teams.
Right.
But even at that point, when you talk about the Cowboys' high-end talent, right? Dak, CD, Tyler Smith, those are yours. But the other one, George Pickens, you had to trade for. Quentin Williams, you had to trade good draft capital for. So even the high end, it's not like you stayed on the heater of drafting really good players. Maybe Tyler Booker could get into that place. That would be nice for this team. But I get it. You look at them, you look how they played defense last year, and we're going to be putting a lot on a different version of an offseason for the Cowboys this year, and we're going to be putting a lot on a different version of a coaching staff found with a better process for hiring the coaching staff. But we're going to be counting on a lot of things this offseason to put you into the mix of being considered a good team again.
And that's the thing that are unknown, right? Because everything defensively, you don't know what you're bringing back defensively. We know the one thing, like you just mentioned, that you have Quentin Williams, right? We know that. Everything else, we don't know. We don't know what Revel's going to be. We don't know if Donald Rezarock was going to take the next step. A ton of guys are free agents this year across that defense. DeMarvion Overshown, will he come back, and will he come back healthy for the entire season? What is Deron Bland going to be health wise? What is Revel going to be health wise? What are you going to draft? Are those guys coming in the draft? Are they going to hit? And then you add all of the new coaches. While we're hopeful and we're happy about the process of all these coaches, we don't have any evidence of Christian Parker being a defensive coordinator. Again, we're all hopeful. We're all excited about the process. We're all excited to have him here and see what he's going to do with the defense. But there is no concrete evidence that you can put on paper right now to go, that's what this guy has done, right? And so, you look at the Vikings, and if nothing else, what they're going to be able to do on defense, right? How that's going to work itself out. So I think there is a lot of things to be hopeful for when it comes to the Cowboys defensively. You'll continue to pray for health of the quarterback for the Cowboys, but there's so much unknown for the Cowboys that sometimes you don't know how it's going to play out. So as we sit today, when these articles come out, it's a 50-50 crapshoot.
All right, let's move on to the best part of the show today. NFL draft time, baby. Our draft expert, the great Fran Duffy, joins the DLLS Cowboys podcast next. And we'd love to encourage you to join the Supporters Club. It's how you become one of our homies, really. It's for the true sickos out there. You know, there's different ways that you can support our show. Of course, watching is great. Hitting the like button is very nice for us. And then being in the chat and talking with us is a big part of helping us grow our show, which we love everybody that does any of those things for us. When you're a true absolute psycho and you join the Supporters Club, you'll stand out in the chat because your name for us shows up in a different color. You get the badge next to your name that shows, hey, I support these guys. And that helps us. It draws our eyes to you. It makes us closer. It makes us besties, really, is what it does when you join the Supporters Club. And on top of that, you get access to exclusive emojis. Like, are you really doing the DLLS Cowboys show the best you can if you're not firing off a pop emoji in the chat every once in a while? No, you're not. Look at pop right there. Isn't that a man you want to support by firing off a pop emoji? The most amorous man in media in his 60s, you know, that's him. And you can support him by getting access to pop emoji. Oh yeah, Fran's going to join us when we're done with this break, but you can see Fran enjoying our commercial breaks. So, look, join the Supporters Club. If you're not doing it, then Pop's going to run out of Blue Chew. You know, we need your support so he can keep getting the things that he needs to keep living the life that he wants to live. So join the Supporters Club on YouTube. Be a part of the Cool Kid Club. You see the guys in the chat. Drono's in there, MD Rowe, J. Phil, Austin. I saw in there earlier. A lot of people with that next to their name. Sign up. Be a part of the Supporters Club. And if you don't, I'll track you down and I'll hug you if you give consent. It's the DLLS Cowboys podcast. Clarence there. But we're rocking and rolling. And our buddy Fran Duffy is joining us. He's our all-city draft expert. He does this stuff year-round. He's the best in the business. You can also see him on the PHLY channel, which we do not encourage you to watch, although we should. My bosses probably they don't want to hear me say that. You should watch it to see if they're hating on the Cowboys and report back to me. Fran, thanks for taking some time for us today. We appreciate it, buddy. Welcome to your part of the year.
What's happening, fellas? Yeah, it's been a long road to get here, but I'm excited to be jumping on with you guys every week to talk through some of these prospects.
And I love having Fran on, and I love the way that you think in the draft world. A lot of stuff has become a little group thinky. Like you'll see people's rankings, and I feel like other people's rankings are influenced by other people's rankings, and it's just like when people do and you can see that it's absolutely original work. The Florida corner, whose name is escaping my mind, you told me you had him as one of your top guys when we talked to you last. I went and watched him. I'm like, holy crap, why is nobody talking about this guy? This sucker can play. And so I love the way that you go about it. My first question for you is going to be at the top of this draft. I don't think it's littered with blue chip talent. I don't think it's a top heavy draft, but I think it's a really nice draft for finding a bunch of guys that can help your team. What do you view as the perfect scenario for how things would work out for the Dallas Cowboys when you get to pick number 12? What do they hope happens in the top 11?
Yeah, I think that, I mean, look, the best case scenario is, Ty Simpson or, a quarterback goes higher than we expect, right? That bumps another player down. I think that everybody hopes that you get the safety Caleb Downs from Ohio State falls down to number 12.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the one where it's all right. This is a great player, clear cut, the best player at his individual position, but then also one of the best individual talents in the draft falls to number 12 because of positional value, which is, I think it's a good argument to make. But what I would say is that in this class where if you're picking 3, if you're picking 5, you're going to kind of hold your nose a little bit for the player. Because the number 3 pick in 2026 does not equal the number 3 pick in 2027, does not equal the number 3 pick in 2023 or 2021, right? It's just the talent at the very tippy top of this draft. It doesn't match it from last year. I don't think there's a player that you would compare to Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter from a pure talent level in this class. So I do think if you're picking at the very top, our friends out at PHNX, they're going to be hurt a little bit when it comes to this. But I think with the Cowboys at 12, you're right in that sweet spot where it starts to level out a little bit, where it's, all right, the guy that's going to go 12th overall, that's probably a player that we would talk about going 12th overall in a typical draft. But then there's that opportunity where a Caleb Downs could fall into that spot because of positional value. That would be best case scenario.
Fran, what is the heavy position in this draft, right? When you look at kind of across the board, is it line, defensive line, offensive line, receiver, and what is that position? And then at what point will we see a run at that particular position? Will it be kind of around that 12, round 15, 16, late 20s, with that strong position?
Yeah, I think that when you look at this group overall, and again, keeping in mind that it's like the very, very top isn't great at any of these spots. So it's more like, all right, when we're looking at first round, we're looking at top 50. What are the positions where you're going to get some good quality players? I look at offensive tackle. I look at pass rusher. I like this cornerback class. I would say those are linebacker is pretty good, depending on how you view Arvell Reese. If he's an edge, then he's with that first group I mentioned. If he's linebacker, then it makes that group really, really strong. I think that those are probably the strengths of this group. Look, at the end of the day, there's always receivers. We know that. There's always going to be receivers available. It's not a great running back draft. Jeremiah Love is at the top there, and obviously is a great player. But after that, I think there's a kind of a big tier drop off, and then after that, there's even another steep drop off. So it's not a great overall group for running back. But I think when you look at that's probably the strength of this draft is you look at edge rusher, corner, offensive tackle. Those would be the ones I would look at first.
Fran, I got a couple of questions, but number one, there's a lot of talk about Caleb Downs being the best safety ever. And that includes Ed Reed and our boy from Miami that passed away, Sean Taylor.
Yeah.
Is that what you're seeing?
So I remember watching Sean Taylor. I was my football mind was awake at that point, and he was a great. But I'm not going to sit here and say like I studied Sean Taylor when he was at Miami and could evaluate him as a prospect. I will say that compared to the guys I've been studying the draft, watching film since like the 2006 draft. That was the first class where I got all 22 ones and watching players. I would say. I mean, he's certainly up there in the conversation. I probably had a higher grade on Derwin James, when he was coming out of Florida State. But I would say it's a higher grade. It's comparable to Kyle Hamilton. I had a similar kind of grade on Nick Emanwari last year. He was extremely high on my board. I would say that's probably like the short list. I mean, Eric Berry was in that group. He's a great player and can do so many different things. And that's what will be interesting is that because he's got such a versatile skill set, everybody's going to kind of view him differently. Is he Emanwari? Is he a guy that we want to we want to play him deep? That's going to dictate his value as well with all these different clubs.
He's Darren Woodson. He should be in the Hall of Fame. Darren Woodson should be in the Hall of Fame. But my other question, the Cowboys, without a second and third round pick, what's there? What are the Cowboys missing if they don't get a second and third, if they don't somehow get into that second and third round?
Yeah, I think that's where I really like the depth in the middle of this draft when it comes to the cornerback spot. And obviously that's where they got Shavon Revel in the third round last year, which I thought was outstanding value. A guy that I do think you were talking about, guys that you feel like can lock in as starters. From a talent standpoint, I didn't watch every snap of Revel this year, but he's a guy that I kind of earmarked when he was at ECU is that this is a guy that has long-term starting value. So it doesn't shock me to hear you guys say that could be him here in 2026. But that's a position or that's an area of the draft where I look at it I like the corners that are going to be going off the board round 2, round 3.
Fran, when you look at, and this is Fran Duffy, you need to make sure you're signed up to be a diehard because then you get the diehard draft guide, which Fran Duffy, you get his rankings, you get his scouting reports, all those different things. And also look up the All NFL Draft podcast, which is brand new. Make sure you're following all of Fran's things. When it comes to the Cowboys have right now on the roster, basically one edge. They basically have Donovan Ezeraku, and he's in the room all by himself. Do you see value at when the Cowboys have, I'm thinking their second first round pick at number 20, because if you had to guess, again, Arvell Reese, Ohio State, maybe the best player in the draft. Some may call him an edge. Some may call him a linebacker. My guess is Reuben Bain and David Bailey are both gone before the Cowboys pick at 12. So when you get down to 20, who do you like the best of not the top 3 guys?
Yeah, I would say it's probably Clemson's TJ Parker at that spot. This is a guy that was viewed as a top 10 pick coming into the season. And when I did him over the summer, I was like, I don't know if I see that, guys. I'm not sure that he's quite like the elite level prospect that he was kind of being painted to be by a lot of people in the media. And then he had a down year. He only had a handful of sacks this year. Clemson obviously didn't do well. And now everyone's like, oh, he's not a first round pick. And I'm like, well, hold on. He's a good player. He's a nice player. He's just not like the elite level that I think a lot of people had projected him to be a few months back. So I think when you're looking at TJ Parker, I do think that he would be a good fit for Christian Parker's defense if he's going to be playing the same way that Vic Fangio kind of utilized his defensive line. If you're going to play a lot of light boxes, you need those guys up front to be able to be sturdy, to be firm, and make sure that they not just account for their one guy in the run game, but also like when people talk about like gap and a half, like you have to be able to hold your own in the run game if you're going to play in this defense. And so when I look at TJ Parker, that would be a name that would make some sense there at 20.
Fran, if you're foreshadowing the draft class as a whole, who's the one guy in this draft class that you can kind of like, I'll bet my house on it, that this dude is going to be a 10-year all-pro player in the National Football League?
All-pro?
All-pro. I don't know. All-pro is tough. I think that certainly like Arvell Reese has that upside, but man, I'd be terrified. People want to compare him to Micah, and we've talked. I know we can't talk about Micah. They're talking about a guy coming, a former pass rusher that came out of Penn State as a linebacker and made that transition. I don't know if I can get there with Reese. I think that if I'm going to try and bet on all pro, that's difficult in this class. There are certainly guys that have that ceiling. Reese being one of them. I think that Bailey could get there. David Bailey, the pass rusher from Texas Tech. The guy that I'm on an island still on this player. And I do think that if we're talking about him, honestly, Jeff, to answer your previous question, Keldrick Falk is a player from Auburn that I'm extremely high on. And I think that when you're looking at what he can be in the NFL, this is a guy that can line up inside and outside, can win from multiple techniques up front along the defensive line. He's extremely young. He's one of the youngest players in this class, doesn't turn 21 until the fall. He's been consistently disruptive and productive. He's got great character. He's got peerless medical records. To me, he's going to be extremely athletic for his size. So we're talking traits, we're talking age, we're talking character, we're talking medical, we're talking versatility. In this class where there's not a lot of people to get excited about, sign me up for Keldrick Falk. And so my guess is that he's going higher than 20. That's my personal evaluation has him much higher than that. But you're seeing a lot of mock drafts now, and a lot of people are not buying into that. So we'll see if that changes over the next few weeks.
I have seen his name very recently to the Cowboys multiple times, and he's the guy people in the chat are saying that I hate him.
You do.
You get to, how if you're 5 spots lower in your rankings than the consensus, you hate a guy.
Yep.
I view him as, I see all the tools that people are going to love, and I have not seen those tools result in what I think the sum of those parts should have been. And so people are going to bet on what it could be. And I do feel like, and you tell me this, probably fits here, right? If Christian Parker is going to do, much like you said with TJ Parker, if you want a guy that lines up on the edge, that can wrestle with your offensive tackle, that can play the run, and then you're hoping that he manifests the upside that you see from his movement abilities and all that into a pass rusher, probably fits if he makes it to 20.
I was down on Shamar Stewart last year. I had him very, very low, because to me, he was not a guy that made an impact. It wasn't disruptive or productive, right? All right, there are some guys where sacks can be weird, it can fluctuate. We know how that goes. When I watch Falk, do I wish that there were more sacks? Sure. He had more sacks this year, I'm pretty sure, than Shamar Stewart had in his entire career with the Aggies. So to me, when I'm looking at Falk, I wish the production was a little bit better. But man, I'm head over heels on that guy. That's a guy I'm willing to bet on.
Is Philly falling apart? Are they falling apart in Philly?
No, they're falling apart. It's a good question.
Jeff, want to ask you that. Is Philly falling apart?
That's a good question.
Falling apart might be a bit strong, but obviously it has not been a great offseason here in Philadelphia in terms of just the vibes, right, and everything. Looking outside in, the departure of Jeff Stoutland, the lengthy offensive coordinator search. I think they may have ended up with a good hire, and we know how this goes, right? And this happens at head coach, it happens OC, DC. Some of these hires, maybe you don't get your first choice, your second choice, or your third choice, but then your fourth choice that you end up offering the job to ends up being a home run hire. It's happened here in Philly. Doug Peterson was not their first choice. They wanted Ben McAdoo. All reports point to that. They wanted Ben McAdoo. Ben McAdoo said no, and they ended up with Doug Peterson, and Doug Peterson leads them to their first Super Bowl. So, we never know how this thing is going to turn out, but I would say, like, outside looking in, no, the vibes have not been great.
This is Fran Duffy. His draft work is awesome. He has a front row seat to watching Philly fall apart. He's a man that has a lot going on. Thank you, Fran. We appreciate you.
Appreciate it, guys. We'll talk soon.
We just ran out of time. I wanted to ask him if he thought the backup up there, whatever his name is better than Jalen Hurts. We just ran out of time, and so that's tough. Coming up next on the DLLS Cowboys.
Messy.
On the DLLS Cowboys podcast, what is the Cowboys' plan at this position this offseason? It's next. Let's get you signed up to be a diehard. No better time, honestly. NFL draft season's a great time to be signed up to be a diehard because, as I mentioned, you get the diehard draft guide, which features all of Fran Duffy's reports on hundreds of NFL draft prospects. You get scouting reports, you get position rankings, you get the big board. You get all of those different things when you're signed up to be a diehard. In addition to, as you're seeing on the screen, when you sign up to be a diehard, you get to pick a free t-shirt from the merch store as soon as you sign up. Maybe you do want to pledge allegiance to the flag with 2 G's. Maybe you would like to stay shiesty. Maybe you'd like to be a member of the 88 Club. I don't know. Whichever t-shirt you would like from our merch store, it's yours for free. When you sign up to be a diehard, you, of course, also get access to all of our premium content around all of your favorite DFW sports teams. You want premium content about your Cowboys, about your Rangers, about your Stars, about your Mavericks? Well, guess what? You get that. As soon as you're signed up to be a diehard, you have access to everything on our site. You get an ad-free experience while you're on the website. You get a surprise camera inside Jesse's home where you can monitor his movements at all times. That's not included with being a diehard. That's just producer. That's just producer John being wild. But yeah, being a diehard is a great value. You get to catch up on all your sports teams, get everything that you need to know. You get the free t-shirt. You also get discounts on merch and events, 20% off as soon as you're signed up to be a diehard. So maybe there's 17 shirts you want in that merch store. Maybe you want one of these branded Bills DLLS caps. I got one on. Clarence got one on. Maybe you want one of those. All of it's right there at your fingertips when you sign up to be a diehard. So if you're not too busy today, go ahead and use that QR code that's on your screen or head over to alldlls.com. Sign up to be a diehard. If you don't, I will hunt you down for a handshake with consent. So do it. It is the DLLS Cowboys podcast. Position I want to talk about now is the running back group for the Dallas Cowboys, because there was a tweet I saw from Daniel Jeremiah. And he said, he's an NFL draft expert, NFL.com, former scout. He said, I'm working my way through all of the tape for the combine invites. This draft is excellent at defensive line and wide receiver. Not a stacked quarterback or running back draft. Free agency and trade might be the way to go at those positions. So after we work our way through all of the comments about Clarence's nose and the alleged nose pick or scratch, that John caught in the break, we can get on to the topic of the day, which is what is and what should be the Cowboys' plan at running back going into this season. Are Phil Maffa and Jaden Blue, in your mind, one or the other, part of their rotation as their plan in their backfield? Is Javonte Williams going to be back? Will it be a different free agent? What do you believe the running back plan is and should be for the Dallas Cowboys?
My belief is that they're going to offer Javonte Williams a deal. They're going to give Javonte Williams a deal. Now, will the deal be worth Javonte taking it? I don't know. Historically, outside of Zeke, they usually lowball offer their running backs, right? We saw that the last couple of times. And so Javonte may find a better offer out there on the market somewhere else. I do think the Cowboys view and value the 1-2 punch of Blue and Maffa coming back next year. I think that gives them the balance of kind of their version of Thunder and Lightning or Sonic and Knuckles or whatever name you want to use for a dual backfield. Malik Davis may add himself into that mix But I do think they want to bring back Javonte, but at a certain price. But if that doesn't happen, I think you can go full speed ahead and see at least in training, at least in OTAs and minicamp, what that looks like with Phil Maffa and Jaden Blue as your 1-2 punch. And if you don't feel real comfortable with that combination when you leave minicamp, OTAs, and that portion of the offseason, then I think it's relatively easy to go find a veteran running back that will be out there on the market that you can bring in for training camp.
Well, Jesse, I believe Clarence is about to hit you with one of these.
I'm not ready with it.
He's going to say he made some.
I don't even think he's paying attention, honestly. I don't even think he's paying attention.
Fire. I am taking fire. Me and my nose.
He's not even paying
shrapnel.
attention to the topic.
We're taking shrapnel.
He's not even paying attention.
I am. I'm listening.
No,
I'm taking shrapnel in the chat. It's crazy. It is crazy.
I thought your facial reactions were to what Jesse was saying, and you would have.
I saw his eyes, and I knew from the time I started talking, he had no idea what I was saying or
I do know what you're saying, man. Come on, listen. Yes, they should want to re-sign Blue. They're gonna not Blue, Javonte Williams. They're gonna try to re-sign Javonte Williams. But as we talked to Javonte, he's going to the highest bidder. He owes it to himself to go to the highest bidder. The question is, will the Cowboys be the highest bidder? One reason why I asked Rico Dowdle at the Pro Bowl, he said buckle up or strap him up or whatever he said buckle up or strap him up. Jess, which one he say?
He said,
but anyway,
I don't know.
But the bottom line is Rico should be an option to come back, depending on the price. He should be an option to come back, especially if they can't get Javonte done. But you bring up Blue. I was talking to somebody the other night. This lady asked me, what happened to Javonte, Blue? Why couldn't he get any run? What's wrong with Blue? Will he be able to cover on special team? Will he be able to block for the blitz? Is he going to get bigger? Some of the things that he needs to do because he's not going to be a starting running back. It's the reason why he was a backup at Texas. He's not going to be a starting running back. Can he do those other things? Does a year in the league make him tougher as far as tackling and things like that? I don't know if he has the size, speed. I don't know if he has it in him to do those other things on special teams and block as you want him to. And it would be different if Turpin was not here. Then he could be your returner. A guy like that, then he could be your returner. He can't be your returner because Turpin's here. He may work for another team because he can also return and be the backup running back. But he can't be the backup running back here and not be able to cover, block, and run down on punts, run down on kick, also do some other things. That's just not in his package.
So I think Javonte being back would be good for this team. If you don't believe in Jaden Blue, and this is one of the hard parts about the draft. I was high on Jaden Blue in the draft. I like the player. What you don't know is the rest. And there's a reason he went in the 5th round instead of the 3rd. And I think we probably got to see it throughout this season. And so if you don't think, believe, trust, whatever, I'll take Javonte Williams and his toughness and his leadership and the way he runs the ball and the way he blocks and the way that he does everything. I'll take that. But I also want somebody that might go 80. And maybe it's a guy that touches the ball 6 to 8 times a game. But and Jaden Blue's the perfect fit for it physically. The way that dude runs is the perfect fit. The question just becomes, for the team who just got to see him for a year and refused to let him play until the season was over, can I have faith in that? Or am I looking somewhere else and having to try again to find my potential home run hitter? Because Javonte's good. I don't want Javonte having to play 80 or 90% of the snaps or whatever. I want somebody who can take 30% of the snaps that is a threat to take that ball to the house. And if Jaden Blue ain't it, then he's not here.
And one question about Javonte, he's had the most carries he's ever had. Okay, he's never touched the ball, carried the ball as much as that this year. Will that impact him next year? What is that going to look like on his body next year? And can he carry a similar load, which is what you're saying? You don't want him having to carry a similar load as he carried last year. But, how will he rebound from the buck and the bruising and everything he took this year, next year?
The biggest thing about any of those guys you're talking about as far as the backup role or the second part of the two-headed monster is, which you can't on game day. You don't have enough jerseys for a guy to play 10 to 15 snaps and do nothing else. The jersey is too valuable on game day for that. And yes, while he may have an opportunity to go 80 at any given time, you don't know if and when that's going to happen. And there's so many other needs like kickoff and kickoff return and punt return that a guy like Malik Davis gives you. Malik Davis gives you that ability to be a backup running back, but also can play 2 to 3 different level special teams. And those are the things that become a little bit more valuable on game day overall. Do I get a guy who can help us with field position on special teams, maybe run down or block somebody or play gunner or play personal protector? Or do I have to go with a guy who gives us maybe the potential of an 80-yard run, but I'm only going to give him 6 to 8 chances to do so. Other than that, he's standing on the sideline next to me. That's the difference between having that backup role player and, when it comes to jerseys being given out on game day.
If it costs you a few more dollars than Javonte Williams, could I interest you in Breece Hall?
Yes.
Sure.
That's probably your top running back free agent this offseason. And to Daniel Jeremiah's point and what Fran Duffy just told us, the Cowboys are not going to use the 12th overall pick on a running back. And if they were, Jeremiah Love is a one-man draft at running back this year at Notre Dame. And I can't see that Jeff looks like a cop and Chill looks blind. Is Kenneth Walker up too? He's up too.
Yep.
I like my running backs to be receivers. He's not much of a receiver. I love the way he runs. But I mean, and the same thing with Javonte. Like Javonte can catch the football, but he's not a threat in the passing game. And let's just make Turp a running back. Just make Turp a running. He's not a receiver.
He trips over the line, remember?
That was one time?
Oh.
One time.
That was a one-time thing? In the super chat, we have Mets Today said, what Devon linebacker would you target? Lloyd, Bush, or White? Well, I'd have to do some Googles. I do remember all the Devons. Devin White's got to be pretty darn old.
Yeah.
We're not doing Devin White.
Yeah, I don't need old linebackers. Although, I might need an older linebacker because I might need somebody to play the middle of this defense. But my middle linebacker is Sonny Styles. I don't know if you guys have caught on yet, but my middle linebacker is Sonny Styles out of Ohio State, being picked 12th overall. I'm living in the dream world where Sonny Styles or Caleb Downs, one of those two, at a non-premium position falls to number 12, and it's very possible. Dro knows. That's why I miss NFL Europe. We could have sent Blue to the Barcelona Dragons this spring to get some reps in. We do. We need to partner up with whatever league Nooch and Josh Gordon were playing in. I forgot XFL, UFL, something UFL. FL. Yeah, we need to partner up with that thing where you can just loan out your players, but they're going to need to get some money for it, and you're going to need to get insurance if they get hurt. We already did that one, John, but I appreciate you making sure Sully got his screen time. That's really nice of you. Whatever you do, don't give handoffs to CD. He's not bad at it.
Yeah.
But once you get hurt.
How about what Seattle did in the Super Bowl or in the playoffs when they had Jackson Smith and Jigba come out of the backfield and catch him and run a route and confuse the defense?
That's great.
You CD like that.
No, that's great. And I think that's the whole point of usually putting a receiver back there is you'll occasionally hand it to him just to be like, hey, we will. But the whole point is to be like, can I find a way to make you dumb enough that motioning or lining this guy up here makes you put your middle linebacker on my best receiver? Because that's incredible.
Right.
That's footballing. If your offensive tackles can give you enough time for the guy to get from back there to go run a route and your quarterback doesn't die, that's cooking.
Tell me about the Seattle offensive line. Do they got 5 first-round picks up there? I mean,
no, they're not special.
Right?
No. They're the first-round pick. They just drafted Gray Zabel in the first round. I'd have to see who the other ones are, but Charles Cross and Zabel are definitely ones. I think they brought in at least one free agent. I'd have to go look at them. Thanks for stopping by, everybody. You guys are heroes. Enjoy the Clarence and Jesse party tomorrow. I'm headed to Japan. I'm going to go have myself a time, get some KFC over there while everybody else eats sushi. Remember, you have no idea what anybody's going through, so be cool to everybody. We love you. Be easy.
Eliminate the contingencies.